for school board members. And you probably should read it in case anybody's on here.
The whole thing?
At least if you don't want to read the whole thing,
Where's it at?
it's
Gotta read through all that?
well, no, if not, just highlight the dates.
Okay.
I think that's important for people to know that. Typically, we have to read resolutions.
Yeah, I know.
It's important for people who want to run. They know when they need to. 10.2? Yeah, it's the first one, 10.1. The approved resolution establishing dates for filing affidavits for candidacy.
Okay. But what I don't have is the first part of the
Yep, you do. I had it at your site, the MSBA.
at my site.
You had
Sitting
it at
here?
your table here. Yeah.
Is it this? There. it is. Click down here.
Yeah, I noticed. I've been out on a tractor on camera, nothing.
I was just gonna go over before.
Terry, hi. How you doing? Sure you want to do this tonight? You sure you want to do this tonight? Okay. Well, we'll get you set up and ready. Are the kids still out there? Are they have Mary's fire going yet?
Yeah.
Who's tending?
Kevin and Hattie is right now.
Are they? So I'm gonna stop out after.
Okay. They'll be on. They'll be there today. Quick, tough. She's in better place.
Mm-hmm.
John got there just before her last couple breaths.
Really?
But she's not going to go in a hurry there.
She did, because I was gonna come out and visit, and I thought, well, I'll get there in a couple days. You always think you have a couple days. You never know.
But she really went. Well, it was a week ago last Friday. I put her in
It's just, we remember the process.
How you doing, everybody?
Enjoy you guys too.
Just remember when you are seconding or motioning or anything like that, just say Nick does, Derek does. You know, remember to say your first name with it so I can hear you. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. What? Are we ready? Almost? Almost? Because you're muted. Unmute.
That's great. I hear you.
How about now?
There you go. I can hear you. And Terry's on.
John's gonna get this computer thing all dialed in, and then we're gonna go back to regular meetings.
Okay.
I'm tempted
I'm
to
on.
do that now. Okay,
Yep, we're good, Trev.
everybody's there?
Yep.
You'll put us live, Trav? I can't hear you. What? Okay.
Who's that guy? Jordan. Ice, yes.
Okay.
Are you on, Jordan? You on?
Okay. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Roll call. Vicki Bevins. Vicki? Absent. Nick?
Here.
Christie's here. Alan?
Here.
John Zimmer?
Here.
Derek?
Here.
Okay, Terry?
Here.
Okay, thank you. We'll pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. It looks like everybody, Alan, I think you need to mute yours. There. How's that, Nick?
A lot better. Thanks.
Okay. So the approval of the agenda for, I have to read this from MSBA real quick. Due to the current federal and state emergency declarations, the Minnesota directive to residents to stay at home and guidance about limiting person-to-person contact due to the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. This meeting of the Waban-Ogama-Whiter School Board is being conducted in accordance with Minnesota Statutes 13D.021. Meetings by telephone or other electronic means. Due to the health pandemic, the school board determined that it is not feasible for at least one board member, the superintendent, or the school district's legal counsel to be physically present at the regular meeting location, and that it's not feasible for the public to attend this meeting at the regular meeting location due to the health pandemic. You can also go to public comment at Waban, k12.mn.us to submit a comment to the school board. School board members are reminded to mute their microphone or phone when they're not speaking. School board members wishing to speak should raise their hand, use the chat feature via meeting platform, use Google Meets, then wait to be recognized by the chair. The chair will determine the order in which board member wishing to speak will be recognized. When recognized, the board member should unmute the microphone or phone, speak, and then mute their device. All votes will be conducted by roll call. Each school board member should wait until their name is called before voting. Okay. With that, we don't have anything added to the agenda at all?
We modified the agenda. We did have an agenda addition at the end. It is, you have a new agenda in front of you for tonight, but from the one that was sent out previously, it's a 10.15 approval of, 10.16. Approve superintendent's administrative assistant in Ohio and contract with Tammy Brown. So it's on the agenda in front of you, but it's an addition from the one that was sent out to you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
All motion.
John Zimmer, motion. Second.
Nick,
Nick, seconds. Roll call vote. Vicky? Nick?
yes.
Christie's yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Motion passes. Reports, board, committee, and special meeting reports. I don't think we've had any.
Nope, we've got some coming up, but we don't have any reports for tonight.
Okay. Moving on to 5.2, student rep, there is none, and 5.3, principals. Lori, are you on? Lori? Okay.
Yes, I'm
There you
here.
go.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yep.
All right. I have a short one this week or this month. So our May Staff Development Day included grade level transition meetings, a Google Meet staff meeting, and then time to work on the completion of quarter 4 grades. We had summer slide brochures that were sent home with report cards. Information includes ways that families can help students prepare for entering their new grade level in the fall. Requesting permission to hire the following individuals for August summer school in Ogama, and this would be pending the COVID-related guidance. That's Cecilia Brinegar. She was also asking to help as the coordinator. Monica Peterson, Tiffany Skurzik, Samantha Housey, Ian Goose, and Summer Kallenberg. And as far as attendance, in May, we had 97.73% with the daily check-ins. And we had 0 referrals. Throughout the year, we did have 235 major referrals with our Kickstart through 4th grade. And the top 3 offenses were bus conduct, aggressive behavior, and insubordination. Do you have any questions?
No questions here. Doesn't look like anybody else has any.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
Eric, are you on? I don't see you. Eric?
Sorry.
Okay.
unmute, right?
Right?
Yeah. Once same as Lori, kind of bare bones report, but we did offer, and I think I said it at the last board meeting, we did offer our 4 to 16 students EC12 Tech Integrations position to Jordan Spaeth. We've also offered Mr. John Short, Miss Courtney Weston, our summer school credit recovery distance learning teaching positions. We conducted interviews for social studies. We have offered to a candidate. I will let you know what she states when we get the answer. We have 32 kids participating in summer school credit recovery via distance learning. And then I did want to talk a little bit about our senior awards night. And I put a lot of information in there, but suffice it to say that it was a great night. A lot of money, a lot of awards going out to our kids. I think $64,000, over $64,000 in scholarships was awarded. Graduation, we did a virtual one. We're excited in that we're going to be able to do a real live one come the 24th. We're in the planning stages for that. And our attendance, I put in there, our total for Waban Elementary was 91.91%. Waban Junior High was 86.66%. Waban High School was 84.08%. Our discipline, our top 3 were excessive talking, insubordination, and skipping class for the Waban Elementary. Junior High was skipping classes, tardies, and insubordination for the Junior High. High School was skipping class, tardies, and insubordination. And then one last recognition, you'll see in the board packet that we have resignation of Miss Jen Short. I just want to recognize her for all the work that she did for me personally, and all the work that she did for the district. So we're losing a great one there. So, any questions for me?
No, thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
On to assessment and data coach grant coordinator Sharon Gillis, and you see her board report. There's nothing to report at this time. The CLSD grant was submitted May 22nd. MDE will contact grant award winners at the end of June. Michelle, business manager.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. All right. Last month, there was a couple questions that came up about the SRO billing and whether or not we needed to pay that. We were under the assumption thinking that those contracts were going to hold true. And that actually, the final bill, they didn't bill us for any of that time at the end of the contract year. So our final bill to them for the year was less than $5,000. So that was, I just wanted to get that addressed because that was one of the questions. So final ADMs, Deja's been working fast and furious on the final Mars reporting. I checked in with her yesterday and she has all of the sesh hours and all of that stuff kind of taken care of. And so that'll be done and submitted next week. So we shouldn't have any issues coming into audit with looking at final ADM numbers. Right now we're at about 669. So if that holds true, then we'd be at plus 29 ADMs over what we had initially budgeted, which is good. We took that very conservative approach, not knowing if this was a bubble or what was going to happen with these additional ADMs. And so it kind of guides us a little bit for next year too. And then as we're budgeting for next year. So kind of following up on what Eric said, we had 4 seniors eligible for the Right Hand Scholarship Award, and 2 of those 4 applied, and those 2 both received the award at $2,500, and they were Jasmine Vanderplatz and Shania Kirsch. And then we did have a late application from Annalise Larkey, who returned to school, so we'll go ahead and award that application also. She had applied the year that she graduated, so you'll see that coming through the bill side. And then insurance renewals, hopefully you guys had time to look through the differences in the numbers. There were some significant increases to the property and auto liability, but that does kind of hold true with our increased equipment values, property values, and additional covered autos that we've purchased over the years. So,
And then one thing, we did add some cyber liability coverage to protect against cyber attacks, scams, and it would be for the data that we host electronically, our student information system, things like that. And so that addition is $4,234.94. And then just moving down, the co-op sports billing, I included the details with that, but again, very good job by everybody involved as far as the planning goes and things like that. When Jess and I put the final cost together, we basically end up owing Monoman less than $1,000. And so when you think of all of the activities that we co-op together for and all of the expenses that we try to share and split, that worked out really well. So I will, if there are no pressing questions with that, I will get that check cut to Monoman before the end of the fiscal year, and then we can settle our books that way. Audit, started working on audit prep work. I've been in touch with Chris quite a few times already, just with some of the GASB changes and some of the fund movements that we've had. So, but he'll officially be on site here starting August 10th. And then just busy tracking things at the end of the year. The COVID stuff is we're still working through some of the updated guidance that we're finally getting. We are working on the GEAR and the ESSER funding, that is the CARE Act funding that's coming additional from the state. So working on putting those plans together. Just a very, very busy time right now. So it always is at this point. So is there any questions?
No, not that I have. Anybody else? Thank you, Michelle. Lisa?
Couldn't hit the right button to unmute, sorry. I took the excerpt for the legislative session updates right from MSBA's update because they had it bulleted so well, and I won't go through all of it. Just wanted to pull out some of the special sessions or the regular session updates, and then talk a little bit about special session. Just going through the COVID-19 bill in the House File 4415 was the Education Finance COVID-19 bill. One of the things that they looked at was that hourly worker bill. Because of the provisions in that original bill, it was quite controversial. And so that did not pass in the regular session, but that may come back for special session. So we'll have to see what happens with that. And we'll watch that one to see where that lands in special session and what we do with our hourly employees if we were to come back to distance learning again in the fall. That will give us some guidance depending what happens. The things I want to talk a little bit about is one of the things that happened is that they gave very clear guidance that student absences during distance learning do not affect truancy or will not meet the definition of truancy. It required the commissioner to waive testing and accountability requirements linked to any state testing. It added, I thought this was somewhat very interesting, that it added skilled trades into career counseling services for middle school and high school age students. So that becomes a requirement, a legislated requirement. It allowed fund transfers from any unassigned operating fund balance to it and another operating fund for FY 20 and 21. And that does require school board approval, and transfers cannot increase state aid or levy amounts. And that transfers have to occur before November 30th of each year. And then it refers to the CARES Act funding that Michelle was referring to. And then the other part is that the Commission of Education was given authority to recalculate or adjust district's aid to limit revenue losses during fiscal years 2021 and 22 because of changes due to the school closures and shift to distant learning plans. And then it lists the different impacted formulas. So it lists all the different formulas that are impacted. The other thing you just want to pull out a little bit was teachers that were affected or new teachers that were affected for their licensures. There's some flexibility there. And then the one thing that we talked about was one of the goals was to make sure that schools were fully funded during distance learning. And there's still a big debate going on whether schools were fully funded. And because schools qualify for different funding, and our school in particular relies on federal funding, and the federal funding is not having any flexibility. And so, we did have an impact, a negative impact. And so the legislators and MSBA, MREA, MASA, all of our professional organizations are lobbying on our behalf to continue to make sure that we are being fully funded and restored during these times of distance learning and school closures. So they are still advocating, they are still making sure that we are being represented and how we're funded differently and how these different areas that they are allowing shifting. For some of us, it doesn't help us a whole lot, and we still are being impacted financially. Summer programming, we still are looking at our original plan. Some of the schools around us are opening up and you're getting some opportunities to open up. But we are looking at, because of equitable services for kids, we rely heavily on transportation. And our kids rely heavily on transportation. So to make sure that we're being equitable, we are looking at making sure that we that we're able to provide transportation and make sure all kids have access to opportunities. And right now we aren't able to do that. And so it isn't opening it up enough for us to be able to do that. So we are still staying closed, and we'll continue to monitor and look at things. But at this point, we are still staying closed. And the opportunities that most people are looking at for our area would be medium risk opportunities. And so we would continue to stay closed at this point. Credit recovery, Eric referred to the 30-some students that are in credit recovery. If you include the ALC students, we're up to 47 students that are being served or at least enrolled. And then construction renovation. The force main work is, at this point, officially done, but they're working on, and I think we'll get a little bit more update a little bit later from Jordan on some of the issues with the pumps that are being proposed. But that part's done. We are looking at the bus garage bids going out for new bids, and that'll be ready for recommendations for you in July. That's looking really good. And then the total bids that we're going to be looking at tonight are under budget, and gets us back on budget again for, even with some of the contingency issues that we had, the contingency costs that came out and put us over budget. So we're looking very good with our construction costs and renovation costs. So that's looking very good, and we are back on track. Any questions for me?
Nope, that's always good news if we're back on track.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Paul Clark has the AD report in there. Anybody have any questions on the AD report? Okay. The facilities monthly report is in there. Do we have any issues or any questions? Did they get rid of all that junk that they were talking about, that they were doing this online auction thing?
That's going to start within the next couple of weeks. So he's following up with Kelly to find out, when that's going to start. Just waiting for some information on the pickup, and then we'll be ready to start getting that action going. But we kind of looked at doing that at the beginning of July.
Okay. Alrighty. And Travis has a technology report in there. I won't make you do it, Travis. Unless you have something you wanted to talk about. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Travis's report? Okay. Representatives, non-certified, no one is here. Certified, no one is here. And so then we move on to the consent agenda. Does anybody have any issues with the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, who's that?
Alan.
Alan. Al. Second by?
Second,
Derek.
Second by Derek. Okay. Roll call vote. Christie is yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes,
Yes, you're here.
I know. Sorry, guys. I have the most trouble, I swear.
Don't be sorry. I just didn't see you pop in there. We're really glad to have you. Okay, so 7-0, motion passes. Let's see here. Recognitions. Thank you to our PTSO volunteers for planning events and treats for our students throughout the year. Congratulations to the class of 2020. Thank you to the class advisors, Tracy Dady, David Pettit, Michelle Pariso, Carrie Swoboda, Deja Anderson, Jennifer Short, Charlene Gillis, Cassandra Hensana, the WHS staff, Travis Gary, Mrs. Weber, Mrs. Haverkamp, Mr. Martinez, and Mrs. Johnson for making our virtual graduation a success. The link can be found on our webpage and a Facebook page. We're still planning on in-person graduation on July 24th with backup date of August 7th, hoping for the lifting of the restrictions. Did you miss, who was our, Dan is in here too. Dan Kohler? Thank you to him. So, anybody else have anything to add to that? Okay. We have no public comment. So we are on to new business. Approval of resolution establishing dates for filing affidavits of candidacy. So. I don't have it. Oh, there we go. Okay, gotta read it all?
It's the top half, so you get the dates in there.
Okay. This is a resolution establishing dates for filing affidavits of candidacy. Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 435 as follows. Number one, the period for filing affidavits of candidacy for the office of School Board Member of Independent School District number 435 shall begin on July 28, 2020 and shall close on August 11, 2020. An affidavit of candidacy must be filed in the office of the school district clerk and the $2 filing fee paid prior to 5:00 p.m. on August 11, 2020. 2, the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause notice of said filing dates to be published in the Mahnomen Pioneer, the official newspaper of the district, at least 2 weeks prior to the first day to file affidavits of candidacy. The clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause notice of said filing dates to be posted at the administrative offices of the school district at least 10 days prior to the first day to file affidavits of candidacy. The notice of said filing date shall be substantially the following form. Notice of filing dates for election to the School Board, Independent School District 435, Waban-Ogama-Whited Public School, Waban, Minnesota. Notice is hereby given that the period of filing affidavits of candidacy for the office of School Board Member of Independent School District number 435 shall begin on July 28, 2020 and shall close at 5:00 p.m. on August 11, 2020. The general election shall be held on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, and at that election, 3 members will be elected to the school board for terms of 4 years each. Affidavits of candidacy are available from the school district clerk, P.O. Box 98, Waban, Minnesota, 56589. The filing fee for this office is $2. A candidate for this office must have been a resident of the school district from which the candidate seeks election for 30 days before the general election and must have no other affidavit on file for any other office in the same general election. The affidavits of candidacy must be filed in the office of the school district clerk and the filing fee paid prior to 5:00 p.m. on August 11, 2020 by order of the school board. Okay. Do you have any questions? Anything to add, Lisa? No?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion by Alan.
Motion by Alan, second? Second by John? Sorry, Vic.
That's okay.
Roll call vote. Christie's yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Motion passes. Approve White Earth Nursing contract. I'm going to go over that.
Same contract we've had, same number of days. We'll see what happens with pandemic, if we need to have more time. I know this spring they were real busy meeting the needs of community needs, but at this time it's same contract and feel like it would meet our needs going into the year.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the contract?
Motion, Derek.
Motion by Derek. Second. Second by John. Well, I can see John. I can't see you. Second by John. Roll call vote. Christie's yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
And Vicky?
Yes.
Motion passes. Approve meal prices for the 2020-21 school year.
The only change on the meal prices was an increase on the adult costs for lunch, and that was by 10 cents, and that was required.
Okay. Motion.
Nick.
Motion by Nick.
Second, Derek.
Second by Derek. Roll call vote. Christie, yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Motion passes. Approval of MREA membership renewal fiscal year 2020, 2021.
And if you could hang on to your fee schedule, we're going to refer to this a little later on another agenda item. So if you could hang on to that out of your packets, that would be great. MREA is an annual renewal. Minnesota Rural Education Association, very effective advocacy group that we belong to. It's one of the only ones that actually represents administrators, superintendents, school board members, and teachers that we all participate in. It's very effective. This year, they are giving us a 10% discount. While the price goes up because of the number of kids we serve, it actually ends up being a reduction of $129. Recommend approval.
Motion, Derek. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Well, they heard me anyway, right? Terry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
And Vicky. Yes, the motion passes 7-0.
Yes.
Oh, whoops. Sorry, Vic. So
It's good.
10.5. Just this, I didn't think you'd object to object to it, I guess. Approval of NAFIS membership, National Association of Federally Impacted Schools, renewal 2020-2021.
Once again, this is the time of year to approve our memberships, but this is for Impact Aid, our national association, and our membership is based on number of students that qualify for Impact Aid. And so we have an increase because the students that qualify increase. So it has that formula at the bottom of your background information, but it's a slight increase. Dues increased by $590. But obviously, we rely heavily on Impact Aid, so it's a great membership for us.
Okay. Motion, anybody?
Motion, Derek.
Motion by Derek, second. Vicky?
Yeah, Vicky.
I'll give you this one.
Thanks.
Okay. Roll call vote. Christie, yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
And Vicky?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, motion passes. Approval of NISA membership dues waived.
The National Indian Impacted Schools Association members, actually in an effort to demonstrate support for member districts, are waiving membership dues this year. This group helps us a lot with policies, with, once again, advocacy, helps us a lot with legislative actions. Great service to the school members this year. So recommend approval of membership with dues being waived.
This is,
Motion, Derek.
okay, motion by Derek, second by who?
Terry.
Terry? This is the one that Brent Gish has, National Indian Impacted Schools Association, right? Okay.
Yes.
Roll call vote. Christie, yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
And Vicky?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Approval of MASA, Minnesota Association of School Administrators Membership Renewal,
This is-
2020. Oh, go ahead.
This is the yearly membership for my administrative membership for my group, and then also the National Association for Supervisors. I'm serving, I don't always do the national. It's in my contract to do that, but I don't usually do that every year. I'm doing it this year. I'm serving on the Federal Legislative Committee for MASA. And so this year I am doing that. Part of my role this year on that committee is to be lobbying for schools in Minnesota.
All right.
Motion, Derek.
Motion by Derek, second.
Second by Alan.
Second by Alan. Okay. Roll call vote. Christie, yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
And Vicky?
Yes.
Motion passes. 10.8, approve memorandum of agreement between Northland Community and Technical College, college and high school program with Waban Public Schools.
This, if you remember, in 2018, there was a schedule of an increased memorandum agreement with Northern Community College and Technical College of the mentor-mentee relationship for a fee schedule. So this is not a change. It's been stayed on track from FY18 to FY22. So it's that same agreement, and we're still on track with that increase. So
Motion, Derek.
Motion by Derek. Second
Second, John.
by John. Sorry, I was muted again. Roll call vote. Christie, yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Terry? Terry, yes.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
And Vicky?
Yes.
Motion passes. Approve the first reading of the 2021 school calendar and handbook.
I think Eric and Jen have been working on this primarily, and you'll see some highlighted areas that we know will need to be updating after this first reading. Eric, did you want to say anything in particular about the handbook and calendar?
Not necessarily. It's first reading. If you guys see anything you want changed, let me know. I know that it's going to be a difficult thing with Jen being done now, but nothing we can't handle.
Did anybody have any, notice anything on the first read? Okay. To take a even more critical look as we look at the second read and make some of the updates of some of the things like the fees and some of the things that went through tonight's agenda. So, okay, thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. So, okay.
Motion.
Motion by John, second.
Terry.
Second by Derek. Roll call vote. Christie, yes. Ellen?
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Derek,
Yes.
Nick, Vicky.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. 10.10, approved contract with Northwest Service Cooperative, dietitian, nutritionist, 1 day a month, and the cost of $370 a day.
That's been a great additional service for our food service program. Just been really great guidance, and even when we looked at some of the things when going to distance learning, looking at as we do the fourth grade coming over and looking at delivering services different, has gotten some really great advice, gotten some great counsel. So recommend that we continue with this service as we continue to have challenges.
Do I have a motion?
Motion, Derek.
Motion by Derek. Second?
Oh.
Second by John. Roll call vote. Christie? Yes. Alan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Approve the first reading of fiscal year 2022 long-term facility maintenance plan. Are we really going to 2022 already? Man.
Michelle, did you want to speak to this? Yeah.
So we actually apply a year ahead of time. So although we're entering fiscal year 21, we're doing the fiscal year 22 application for long-term facility maintenance because that's the levy cycle that we're in. So we're always a year ahead with the LTFM. And so the first thing you see is just the statement of assurances, which is just a simple sign-off form that we agree to these things. These are all pretty standard assurances from the state. The second thing that you see is the revenue projection. I'm just going to walk you through what numbers to look at. It's going to be the bottom number. Let's see. Yes, the bottom number, 20D, total new law revenue. And you can see that across, that calculates it out through 2030. And then if you look onto the next one, the revenue projection does continue with there's different plugins that we have to do at a district level to get the calculations to kind of flow. And then this is updated on a yearly basis when we reapply. The other thing I wanted to point out to you was, if you see on the very, very bottom, it does give you the levy and the aid amount separation. And so you can see how much our local tax dollars are paying for, and then how much the aid we are getting at the state level. And then if you go to the next one would be the expenditure application. And so what that does is plots out our gross totals in each expenditure code through the health and safety category, and then through capital expenditures and maintenance projects. And so it just gives you a total list of those expenditures across the bottom. You can see in the outer years it starts to taper off a little bit, but this would encompass a whole lot of different site projects, roofing systems, things like that. And so for you board members that have been on here a while, remember the 60 plus page packet you used to get with every different year colored and everything. I just did a summary of projects because I feel like that's much, much easier to look at and it's much easier to make sense of. And so, the summary walks across the next 10 years that we've planned for. And you can see most of it stays pretty stable and pretty steady with health and safety projects. And as you look onto the next page, that starts to go into more of our site and building type repairs that we'd be looking at, maintenance type issues. And so we're looking at tuck pointing inspections, replacing door sweeps, recaulking windows, fixing some EFIS on the multipurpose gym wall, looking at the windows and doors in a vocational building, partitions again. And then you can see some interior surface projects. So, you know, anywhere from the painting, recarpeting. We've kind of looked at where we're at with all that stuff and went through that with Dan. And then it goes through the mechanical systems, plumbing, and then you'll see our roofing systems all plotted out. And so that would be the schedule that we're looking at. Now that's always subject to change, but as we get into the closer to the years that we're working in, we'll get more solidified estimates from Herzog and the roofing companies we use. So, but if you go down the 2021 column, those are the projects that we have already had approved and the projects that we would be looking at doing this year. And then for 2022, you know, that would be the year that we're submitting for. And so those would be the projects, not for the year we're coming into, but for the year after. And so I don't know if there are any questions about any of the projects specifically, or kind of a lot of information to go through. So I will tell you though that this does, I was looking for the line that it's on. Oh, maybe it's not in here. All I was going to say is that this still allows us to continue to maintain a fund balance. So we're not spending, you know, with the projects that we have slated within this fund right now, there is a fund balance continuing through every year. And so we're not draining this fund dry or deficit spending. We've planned our projects according to the revenue. And then at certain points during this 10-year plan, we'll obviously spend more than what we're taking in, especially if we look at, you know, a huge roofing project of some sort. But know that fund balance is there and that's what that's used for. And so that just continues to stay there and hold true for those projects. Is there any specific questions for any of that?
And once again, this is a first reading. So if you do, then you can bring it back to the next, before the next meeting, and then we can address it at the next meeting.
All righty. Anybody have any questions?
Thanks, Michelle. That's a ton of work that you put in and Dan puts in. And so thank you very much.
I was just going to say that.
Beat ya.
I really was. I said that takes a lot of work. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Motion, Derek. Oh, sorry.
I'll motion. Who is the first one? Is that John? John? Okay. Second by Derek. Roll call. Christie, yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Motion passes. 10.12, approve recommendation to contract award all scopes less work scope, number 2, for construction renovation project. Okay, who's that one?
So finally, Jordan, sorry for the wait. ACS has received all the bids or they were received on June 3rd, 2020 for the construction renovation project. They've done a bid analysis and recommended making awards based for the base bid and alternate number 1, all scopes number 1 through 8, with the exception of number 2. Listed on the awards list letter, there was a tie for number 2, and there was no legal way to break the tie. So they will be reposting it. And with that being said, I'm going to turn the rest of it over to Jordan to talk about it.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. So essentially what Lisa said is all true. One thing that I do want to talk about overall is where we're at financially. We are under budget. Our referendum amount was approximately $5.4 million. With all the bids and all the alternates included, we are sitting at about 4.2. So I'm coming up with just about 1.2 million under. And I wanted to talk a little bit to to why that number is. This is kind of something, I don't know if you guys remember, we talked about back in the CD stage, but we weren't quite sure what the bid market was going to be. So with COVID just hitting the streets and contractors coming off their winter jobs, it looked like it could be a pretty enticing market. And in hindsight, now that we've bid out, I would say that's absolutely what we had. Not only did we have aggressive numbers, we had a lot of bidders. I will say, typically on like a general contractor, general construction package, it'd be typical to receive 3 to 5 bids, most time leaning towards 3, 4. We actually received 10 different bids from general contractors on this project. So it was kind of a mix of the market. One other thing that we feel very strongly influenced in is that this is a nice project. It's not too huge that it's going to tie you up for, years rather than months. But at the same time, it is a nice size and it's very clean. So, overall, I think we got really good numbers. We did do a study and we took the lowest bids, which is how we get to our final number, but we also looked at the highest bids and the median bids. And when you look at those bids and total them up, if we had accepted all the highest bids, that would have been over our budget. If we had taken the median, it'd be right in that 5.4, 5.3 range where we were projecting. And so with these low bids, which I think again is due to the market and a little bit of COVID-19 mixed in, I think that's why we are under budget. So we overall are very pleased. Like Lisa said, we do have a tie on the concrete package. Again, this is something that we ran by our legal department, and their legal advice is to reject all these bids and rebid it. There is no clear determining factor as to who would be the low bidder. It's kind of unprecedented. It does happen, but for most people in our organization, they had not experienced this in their career. So I've heard of people doing a coin toss to decide. Well, that could have been a possibility, but I don't think it's the correct way to go. One other thing to note on this is that the 2 low bidders that were tied were both general contractors that submitted bids on the general construction package, earthwork package, etc. Typically, when a general contractor is bidding that, they are just getting a concrete subcontractor's number and marking it up and then submitting it as their own. So they would essentially manage the work. So our recommendation is to reject the concrete bids, rebid it. And that being said, I have been in touch with some concrete contractors. I do firmly believe that we're going to get even better pricing than what we had the tie on, due to the fact that we'll get actual concrete contractors that are willing to bid it and be bonded and follow our requirements. So it's actually maybe going to work out in our favor to rebid this package financially. So like Lisa said, we're recommending awarding to all work scopes less work scope number 2 concrete. I guess that being said, are there any questions?
So these are the recommendations that you have for all of the bids.
Yes.
Jordan, this is Nick. Who are the 2 tied contractors for the concrete?
For concrete, it was TF Powers and Roars Construction, who are both general contractors out of Fargo area.
Yep. Thanks.
Gordon Construction wasn't too much higher though.
Right. They were in the ballpark, and they have expressed interest in rebidding also. So.
Okay.
Just a general question. I mean, just having my banker hat on. I mean, if the bids are close, I mean, are we required to take the lowest bid? I mean, can we take a bid that we work with someone, or I mean, obviously, if putting on my banker hat, it's just if we could use a local contractor where kids. I mean, he probably has workers that have kids in the district, things like that. Or are we required by law to go ahead and take that lowest bid?
Legally, yes, we are. There are exceptions, and that would be, for any bidder if there's, a discrepancy in their bid where they feel they missed something, or they made an error on their bid and they want to withdraw their bid. That's kind of grounds for that. But again, that's why we have a bid bond. If a bidder were to withdraw a bid, then they would forfeit their bid bond. So that's kind of the only kind of situation where you would see a low bidder not being awarded a contract.
Gotcha.
And again, with the bid bond, it still does protect the owners or the district from being harmed by that.
And under bid law, there, go ahead. Under bid law, there's also some provisions, depending on the dollar amount, where you can do quality bid assessments, but it has to be a lower dollar amount, and we're above that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I have a question too on, if they are, is this question? I don't know how to word it. I'll have to ask them later. Okay. Well, it was on that, if they're native contractors, they get like 10%. Does that apply here?
Tribal preference. Yeah, so that does not apply on publicly bid school projects. These are state projects. So if it was tribal, that's typically where you would see it, but not on a publicly bid school project like this. So I know a few contractors did ask about if there would be preference, and a couple had asked, well, should I even bid it if there's going to be preference? I don't have a chance. So no, it does work in our favor to get the best price by not doing that, but also that does not apply to our project here.
Okay. And there's TARO, Tribal Employment Rights Ordinance, that would that apply to this as well?
That also does not apply. With the Minnesota Department of Education being involved, the state kind of trumps everything here. So this isn't really affiliated with the tribe.
Well, it's not really a tribal thing. It's you're on tribal lands, so tribal lands is where that's why I would assume it would apply.
Yep, and that doesn't have jurisdiction on the school. So yep, will not apply.
Okay.
But ICS did due diligence and check into those issues before they did look into this. So they did look into those areas.
I didn't think they didn't. I was just asking that for my own preference.
I just wanted to make sure that people knew that they did look into it. So, because that's important.
Okay.
I do have a quick question. Did we want to touch on the force main later, or when would you like me to give an update?
Does that need a vote?
Let's vote on this first.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Would we be voting on all of them except number 2?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 2 will be rebid.
Right, so it would be,
This is Nick. I'd motion as presented.
Motion by Nick.
I'll second it.
Second by Terry. Okay, Christie, roll call. Yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
And Vicky?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay.
Give us an update first.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead, Jordan, and give us an update on that?
Sure. So Lisa touched on it a little bit earlier, but the force main work is essentially complete. I guess we had two issues come up. One's a little bit bigger than the other one, but so I'll start with the bigger one. While doing the force main work, we knew about this as it was happening. We still did hit some contamination. There just wasn't a way to avoid all of it. So that being said, that soil did have to be removed we placed it on the asphalt pad outside, and then it did have to be hauled off by Celine to a landfill to accept it. So we have not got the pricing back for that yet. We did have an allowance in there for it, so I'll be interested to see what the pricing comes in at. That being said, there was also a old concrete foundation there, so we're not sure what it was, if it was the old gas station itself that had originally had the petroleum tanks there, or if there was an old house. I've kind of been told either way, so I'm not sure what it was, but there was a fair amount of debris there that had to be removed. So that being said, that debris was also removed, and then fill was brought in to replace it. So same thing with that. It had to be taken to a landfill. So there will be costs with that. Also, I'm not sure how that will hold against our allowance. We did not anticipate any of that coming, but nonetheless, we are waiting for more engineering and Celine to quantify that and get that over to us. So that was probably the bigger financial issue. I think it's something that, you know, we're just gonna have to deal with. I don't think it was anything that we could have foreseen, and I think overall, I think we still did miss quite a bit of contamination that we could have potentially hit. So overall, pleased with the project. The other issue was just brought to my attention in the last couple of days, but Travis with IT had been dealing with some issues about getting data out to the ALC itself. So right now we're determining what happened, but it kind of looks like they may have hit a data line to the ALC, which from our discussions, we're not really using the ALC right now, but it will be needed for the upcoming school year. So we're just working through figuring out how the line was damaged, you know, if it was part of the project or not, and then how to make the appropriate repair. So all in all, not terrible news there. Nothing we can't work through, and overall the force main went well otherwise, and we're pretty happy to have it in the ground and be done with it. One other thing that's not really an issue, the pumps needed to be updated, which we knew from day one. We retrofitted the pumps and replaced kind of like the impellers on the inside, and so on the contract that Celine bid, there was an allowance of approximately $17,800 some dollars, something like that. So I asked the question a week ago, and you know, yep, that was still holding true. Well, we got an email actually on my drive up here this afternoon that from More Engineering that stated that that pump did need a significant amount of work done to it in addition to the impellers. And to the upgrade as required for our project. I'm not sure what that is yet. It's relatively new information, but what More Engineer stated was that, you know, those issues with the pumps are not our problem on this project. So what More Engineering has proposed to do is have all of the pump work, all those that allowance we held, deducted from our contract. And essentially, he threw out a dollar number of approximately $30,000 in repairs are needed, and he proposed having the city pay for that entirely, and we would only pay for the $17,000 that we had anticipated for the whole time. So essentially, it's not our responsibility to do the repairs to the pumps that we didn't know about. It's only to retrofit the pumps as originally described. So all in all, I don't see that as an issue. You know, we're still working through some of the details on it, trying to understand it. So we will continue to update on it, but not bad news at all. So still on budget and still complete with the project. That being said, any questions with the force main?
Did we ever come to a resolution with the city when we went to that meeting was it last month?
I still have not heard anything back from the city on that. I think that's something that I'll have to follow up with Lisa offline, and maybe we need to reach out and have a discussion with them or a phone call and see where everything is at.
Yeah, I don't know if they have dollars there, but there's some other ways of coming up with a solution to that. Okay. Thank you, Jordan.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Does everybody have any questions for Jordan before he goes? All righty. Let's
All right.
move on. Thank you, Jordan.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
10.13, approve Thunderbirds handbook.
There are just two updates. John and Paul worked on this from feedback they had gotten from the committee in previous meetings. And the two updates, they're read in your handbook. They have to do with coaches working, giving individual and group meetings with the athletes, and checking in on well-being and mental health. And that is, oh, these aren't, they're not numbered by pages, so they're hard to find. That is on the top, it's right above academic progress, about 10, 15 pages back. For time's sake, I'm going to read it to you. It says, coaches are encouraged to hold small group meetings and individual meetings with players to help clarify expectations and check on mental health and well-being of our athletes. Coaches are strongly recommended to document these meetings. The other update is under transportation. That is probably about 8, 9 pages in. Under transportation 4.1, it's an addition that says the students participating in pep band will be required to ride the school provided transportation to the contest. Exceptions must be discussed and approved ahead of time by the band director. Students can be signed out by a parent guardian for transportation from away games. A backup Suburban or minibus will be in place for pep band trips to be used only in case of overflow. And those are to address some of the issues and concerns that we've had during the year. Put this on the agenda as a first reading. There's an activities committee meeting on Tuesday. So this will go back to the activities committee for review and additional modifications, and then it'll come back as a second reading. Any feedback at this time or suggestions?
Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Secondary.
I think you're muted.
Nice. Sorry. Motion by John, second by Derek. Roll call. Christie? Yes. Alan?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Yes.
And Vicky?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. 10.14. 5 more to go, guys. Approve the difference in updated quote with Safe LLC for bleacher demo disposable of $11,840.
This is a proposal or a quote to use, to be able to move the west side bank of bleachers from the big gym that is in there now and move it to the multi-purpose gym. One of the goals was to be able to expand the seating in the multi-purpose gym so that we'd be able to use that room or that gym more effectively as a 4th through 6th grade gathering area. So as a Waban Elementary gathering space, and that would be help us accomplish that goal. Much less expensive than replacing those bleachers. That west side is in much better shape than the east side. And so as we continue to explore that, and Dan continued to explore that, and Michelle just was able to do some problem solving and have them re-quote that. And to do the move was cheaper than demo and buying new, which was what we had down the road. So doing it now helps us accomplish our goals with our Auburn Elementary, making better use out of that. Now, we wouldn't be able to pull them all the way out for games, but we'd be able to pull them all the way out for, parent meetings and for, grade 4 through 6 meetings. And so we'd pull them all the way out for our academic goals, not for games. But it certainly would help us in both of those areas. And it is budgeted in LTFM.
Okay, so it's going from 11,000 to 17 or 17 to 11 or how is that? I'm not reading it right.
Oh, did I say it wrong?
Well, no, there's a $17,000 one here.
The original.
The original was 17?
So it's an,
So last month when you guys approved the quote, it was the $91,000 for the new bleacher purchase. And then it was $6,000 for the disposal and removal.
Okay.
And so after that was approved, Dan and I went in there and started looking and had a conversation. And I'm like, we should have checked on this. Let's check on this. Let's look at this. And so knowing that multi-purpose update was coming sooner than later, just a couple years down the road. And so what we're asking you for is to approve the $11,840, which would be the difference between the $6,000 that you already approved last month and the updated quote for the demo move disposal of the $17,840. Does that make sense?
Now it does, yeah.
Okay.
much better than the way I described it.
It just was confusing because I didn't know what we were.
Yep, what we were trying to accomplish.
It wasn't 17. I thought it was 100.
So essentially, for another $11,000 over the quote that we approved, we're getting a bigger bank and an updated bank, you know, from the west side down to the multi-purpose gym. So I think long-term, that's a good move.
Yep, it is. It was badly needed down there.
Yes.
That was, I think, one of the number one complaints that I heard about down there is that they didn't have enough seating.
Yes, definitely. And as a parent attending games down there, yeah, it's awful cramped. And I think, you know, the new bleachers in the big gym, you know, with the new color coordination that we're doing, you know, it was smart then to look at taking those blue bleachers and moving them down there. So,
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the
Motion,
explanation.
Derek.
Motion by Derek, second.
Terry?
Second by Terry. Roll call vote. Christie, yes. Ellen?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
And Vicky?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you. Approve admission and other fees for the 2021 school year. Looks like all fees have remained the same.
Yep, you just refer to that fee sheet, nothing's changed, it'll just all be the same, we just approve it yearly.
Did we have one for the elderly or we're, us and Monoman are the same, right?
Mhm.
Yep, okay. So motion?
Motion by Allen.
I didn't hear you, Joe. Motion by Al, second by,
I'll second.
Vicky.
second by John. Roll call, Christie, yes. Alan,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
and Vicky.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Approve superintendent's administrative assistant new hire and contract for Tammy Brem. So this is a new one. Was added in, right?
Yep, this is the one that was different from what was sent out to you.
So this is our new Julie.
Yep, the new district administrative assistant. I got the information for the background. We looked at $17.50 for an hour, year one, 18 an hour for year two. And then she's got the contract. Also, the regular benefits.
Regular?
Mhm. Single insurance.
Okay.
Looking forward to having her. We had some good applicants this round and she did a great job. Really looking forward. She's excited to be with us, so we're really looking forward to it.
All righty, do I have a motion?
Motion, Derek.
By Derek, second.
Second. Second.
Second by John. Roll call vote, yes. Christie, Alan? Ellen?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
And Vicky?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Well, there we go. Succeeding meetings. July 15th. Looks like June 19th is a transportation committee and June 24th is transportation. Is that your negotiation?
Negotiations, yep. June 24th is their first negotiations meeting. And then on June 23rd will be activities committee meeting, joint activities committee meeting at 7:30 a.m. in the district office.
Okay. Don't think of anything else. Oh, you're non-certified. When does that start?
We're getting close. Chris and I have been emailing and texting Chris Capella. And he said he just needed a couple more things, a couple more visits, talk to people. He said he'd rather visit face to face. So he's looking at a setting like this than doing it over Zoom. So I know that we'll have a couple of people that will prefer to use Zooms. So we'll see, but says he's getting close. I don't know that we're going to fit it in next week, so it's probably going to end up being in July.
Okay. All righty. Future considerations for the school board. Motion to adjourn at 7:15.
Motion, Derek.
One by Derek, second.
Terry?
Second by Terry. Roll call vote. Chrissy, yes. Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Derek?
Yep.
Nick?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Thank you. We are adjourned. 7:15.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
guys.
night, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Night.
Man, these things are tight on my head.